The galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. For 1,000 years, no one had heard a single human voice. Once humans had ruled the stars. They built cities on hundreds of worlds, traded with alien species, and even helped weaker civilizations rise. But one day, they were gone. No war, no explosion, no final message. Just silence. Many alien races searched for them. Some believed humans destroyed themselves. Others thought they had ascended into energy beings. But no one really knew. Then, one cold morning on the planet Varela 9, an alien exploration ship entered orbit. It was called the Seeker's Light, crewed by 4 explorers: Captain Raal, the insectoid leader, Tarin, the scientist, Vexa, the engineer, and Kor, the historian who had studied humans his whole life. Their mission was simple: explore abandoned human colonies and find out what happened to the lost race. As their ship landed on the planet's surface, dust clouds rose like ghosts. Everything was dead silent. The wind carried only the sound of sand hitting metal. Vexa looked around. No movement. No life signs, she said. Tarin scanned the area with her device. Strange. Power readings, and very weak, but still there. How can anything still run after so many centuries? Captain Raal turned his gaze toward the horizon. In the distance stood tall metallic towers glowing faintly blue. They pulsed like a slow heartbeat. "Let's move," he ordered. They walked for hours through empty streets. Broken human machines lay everywhere. Rusted cars, shattered domes, statues of faces that no longer existed. Yet something about this world felt alive. Kor touched one of the statues gently. "Humans love to remember," he whispered. "They built monuments even when the universe forgot them." Finally, they reached the center of the city, a massive building shaped like a spiral. At its base, a single door remained closed, covered in dust. Vexa brushed it off and found an old human symbol, a circle with 3 lines. "The mark of the Terran Federation," Kor said. "This place must have been important." Vexa tried to open the door. It didn't move. She powered her tool and cut through the lock. As the door opened, a cold wave of air rushed out, and the lights inside flickered on. The explorers looked at each other. The power was still alive. Inside they found glowing consoles, machines covered in vines, and strange human writing across the walls. Tarin moved closer to a control panel. "It's still operational," she said, her voice shaking. "I can try to activate it." "Careful," Raal warned. Tarin pressed a few keys. For a moment nothing happened. Then the entire room came to life. Lights turned white, and a deep humming sound filled the air. A human voice echoed through the speakers, calm, warm, but ancient. "If you are hearing this, it means we are gone." But we did not leave empty-handed. We left something behind, a gift. The crew froze. It was the first human voice anyone had heard in 1,000 years. The message continued. "Every world we touched carries one piece of our legacy. To those who come after us, seek the light, understand the gift, and remember who we were." Then silence. The crew stood still. Only the quiet hum of the machines filled the room. Kor whispered, "A gift? What kind of gift?" Tarin replayed the message, searching for hidden data. Suddenly symbols appeared on the main screen. A star map showing dozens of planets marked in glowing white dots. "Those are human colonies," she said. "And look here, this one's blinking." A set of coordinates appeared. "Another world." Another clue. Captain Raal leaned closer. "So humans left something on every planet?" Kor nodded slowly. "It seems so. Maybe they wanted us to find them." As they studied the map, the lights flickered again. The human voice returned, this time softer, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Find the light we left behind." The consoles went dark. The towers outside stopped glowing. The silence returned. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Raal said quietly, "Prepare the ship. We're following those coordinates." Vexa looked out at the dark sky. "Captain, what if it's a trap? What if humans didn't vanish? What if they're waiting?" Raal didn't answer. He just stared at the horizon, where a single tower still glowed faintly, as if saying goodbye. The Seeker's light lifted off and disappeared into the night sky. Behind them, the planet returned to silence. But deep within its core, unseen by anyone, another machine woke up. Its sensors blinked red for the first time in 1,000 years. A soft voice, almost human, whispered into the dark. They found the first world. And then the light faded once more. The stars stretched endlessly as the Seeker's light moved through the void. Captain Ral sat in silence, staring at the glowing coordinates on the main screen, the ones the humans had left behind. For the first time in his life, he felt small. Not because of the galaxy's size, but because of what they had found. 1,000 years ago, humans had vanished, yet somehow their machine still whispered across time. Taryn, the scientist, adjusted the ship's scanners. "The coordinates lead to a system called Orion's Reach," she said. "Records show a small human colony existed there, but it was abandoned before the collapse." Kor, the historian, nodded. The collapse, when humans disappeared from every star. Their colonies stopped sending signals all at once. It was like someone turned off a light. The ship jumped into hyperspace. Bright lines of light streaked across the window like rivers of stars. Vexa, the engineer, whispered, "What if we really find something this time? What if the gift is still there?" Captain Ral replied quietly, "Then we'll finally know what humans wanted us to learn." Hours later, the Seeker's light dropped out of hyperspace above a small frozen planet. Its surface glowed faintly under the light of a dying sun. Taryn scanned it. No cities, no radio signals, but I'm detecting something under the ice, deep underground. Ral ordered, "Take us down." The ship descended through thick clouds and landed on a frozen plain. As the ramp lowered, the crew stepped into a world of silence. The ground was covered in silver frost that cracked under their boots. Vexa pointed toward a cliff. "Energy readings coming from there." They climbed toward the signal. Buried beneath layers of ice and stone, they found a circular metal door marked with the same human symbol, a circle with 3 lines. Kor's eyes widened. "Again, the mark of the Terran Federation." Taryn connected her scanner to the door's surface. "It's locked, but the power source inside is still active." Vexa grinned. "Let's wake it up." After a few sparks and a lot of noise, the door slowly opened with a heavy hiss. Warm air poured out, and a soft golden light filled the tunnel beyond. The crew walked carefully inside. What they saw took their breath away. A massive underground chamber glowed with floating spheres of light. They hung in the air like stars trapped in a cave. In the center of the room stood a single pedestal, holding a crystal sphere the size of a human heart. Kor whispered, "This must be the gift." Taryn reached out carefully and touched it. The sphere flickered, and suddenly holographic images filled the air. They saw humans teaching alien children how to farm, humans building shelters for other species, humans standing side by side with creatures of every kind. A voice spoke from the light, calm, kind, unmistakably human. "We shared what we could. Knowledge, compassion, hope. These are our gifts. Not weapons, not power, but the things that make life worth living." The images shifted. The holograms showed stars connected by lines of light, forming a map of many worlds, each holding a glowing sphere like this one. "If you find one gift," the voice continued, "you will find the others. Together they hold our story, the story of what it means to be human." The light faded slowly, leaving only silence once again. Vexa exhaled, her voice soft. "So, this is what they left? Memories?" Taryn nodded. "More than memories. A message. A lesson." Captain Ral looked around the glowing chamber. "If every world has something like this, then humans wanted to teach the galaxy something after they were gone." Kor studied the map again. "Wait, look here." He pointed to one point on the holographic map, blinking faster than the others. "This one." The light is stronger. "Maybe it's the next location." Taryn frowned. "But why is it pulsing like that? It almost feels like it's calling to us." Before anyone could answer, the sphere began to glow brighter, and then it projected a final message. "To those who seek and beware. Not all who find the light will understand it. Some will try to use it, but remember this. The true gift is not what you take. It's what you become." The sphere dimmed and turned to dust. The floating lights around the chamber began to fade. Vexa whispered, "It's shutting down." Raal turned toward the exit. "Then we've seen what we came for. Let's take the coordinates and move. We follow the next signal." As they left the chamber, the last spark of human light faded behind them. But deep under the ice, something else awakened. Hidden machines began to hum. One by one, small lights flickered to life, forming strange patterns across the walls. Kor glanced back once before stepping onto the ship. "I don't think the humans are gone," he said quietly. I think they're waiting for us to understand. The Seeker's light lifted off, vanishing into the stars once again. Far away on another forgotten world, a second sphere began to glow, as if answering the call. The galaxy was vast and silent once again, but somewhere deep in that silence, a human signal was still calling. On the bridge of the Seeker's light, alarms suddenly began to flash. Tarin looked up from her console. "Captain, I'm picking up a new transmission. Old frequency, human origin." Captain Rahl walked over quickly. "From where?" Tarin stared at the screen. "From the edge of the Erebus system. A dead sector. No known colonies, no life signs. But the signal is repeating. Same pattern every 30 seconds. Kor, the historian, leaned forward. "That frequency, it's from the old Terran distress network. The humans used it during their last war." Vexa frowned. "So someone's been sending an SOS for 1,000 years?" Rahl nodded slowly. "Set a course. Let's see who's still calling." The journey took several hours. The stars outside their window grew dim as they entered the Erebus system, a place where light seemed afraid to shine. The main planet was dark and burned. No atmosphere, no oceans. Only black rock and deep cracks like scars. Tarin checked her readings. "The signal is coming from underground, near the equator. There's a large metallic structure buried there. Land us nearby," Rahl ordered. The Seeker's light touched down in a valley filled with ash. The crew stepped out, their suits glowing faintly in the darkness. The air smelled of dust and iron. Vexa turned on her scanner. This area was hit by something massive. "Radiation's low now, but this used to be a battlefield," Kor whispered. "The war humans never finished. They followed the signal to a deep chasm. Metal walls lined its sides, leading into a tunnel that went straight down. At the bottom they found it, a huge underground human base still intact after centuries. The entrance was sealed with a thick steel door. A faded sign above it read, "Terra Outpost 9, do not enter." Rahl placed his hand on the cold metal. "Let's enter." Vexa hacked into the old system. Sparks flew as she reconnected power lines. The door groaned open, releasing a gust of stale air. Lights flickered on. Human machines stood silent, covered in dust. Old banners still hung from the ceiling, symbols of human unity and strength. Tarin's scanner beeped. "The signal's coming from the command room. It's still transmitting." They moved through narrow corridors. Footprints, human ones, were frozen in the dust. Kor stopped to examine the walls. "Look at this writing." "It's a log. Messages from the last days before they disappeared." He read aloud. "We are under attack. They found us. The gifts must survive. Activate the beacon." Vex's voice trembled. "Attack by who?" No one answered. They entered the command room. In the center stood a massive console still blinking weakly with power. A single red light pulsed slowly, the source of the distress signal. Rahl stepped closer. "This is the beacon." Tarin connected her pad to the console. "It's been running for 987 years. Suddenly the speakers crackled. A human voice came through, distorted, broken, desperate. "This is Commander Ilara Voss of Terra Outpost 9. If anyone finds this message, the enemy is coming. Protect the gifts. They must never fall into the wrong hands." The voice ended in static. The crew looked at one another. Kor spoke softly. "The enemy." She didn't say who they were. Before anyone could reply, the entire base shuddered. The old machines began to hum. Red lights flashed across the walls. Vexa shouted, "Something's powering up." Tarin checked her screen. "No." The beacon triggered a chain reaction. "It's waking the base." Alarms blared. Panels opened, revealing ancient defense drones still armed and active. Rahl shouted, "Fall back. To the surface now." They ran through the corridor as old turrets came alive, scanning the area. Bolts of energy shot past them, lighting up the tunnel. Kor stumbled, but Rahl pulled him up. "Move!" They reached the exit as the ground began to shake. The base was collapsing from below. The Seeker's light lifted off just as the planet's surface cracked open. From space, they watched as the underground structure imploded into a single point of light, and then vanished completely, leaving only a faint glow in orbit. Tarin stared at her screen in disbelief. "That wasn't an explosion, it folded space." Rahl turned slowly toward her. "What do you mean?" "The base didn't destroy itself," Tarin said. "It moved. Somewhere else." Silence filled the bridge. Kor finally spoke. Maybe that's how humans disappeared. Maybe they didn't die. Maybe they left. Vexa looked at the stars outside the window, dark and endless. And maybe they're still watching. The captain's voice was low. Then we'll keep following their light, wherever it leads. Behind them, deep in the shadows of the Erebus system, the faint red glow of the beacon flickered one last time. And a single word appeared across the stars in human language: awakening. The Seeker's light drifted in silence between the stars. Inside, the crew was quiet. No one spoke since they escaped the collapsing human base. Captain Raal sat at the controls, staring at the word still glowing on the screen. Awakening. What did it mean? The humans were gone. Their worlds were empty. Yet everywhere the crew went, something was still. Alive. A whisper in the dark. A memory that refused to fade. Taryn, the scientist, was the first to break the silence. "I've analyzed the data from the beacon," she said. "It connected to every planet where the gifts were hidden. That means all the gifts are linked, part of one network." Kor, the historian, leaned forward. "A network of what?" Taryn shook her head slowly. "I don't know yet, but the energy signature is old, and human. Whatever it is, it's been waiting for someone to reactivate it." Captain Raal turned to her. "And the coordinates?" Taryn looked down. "The next one is firmly beyond the rim. An ice world called Calyx Prime. The readings there are off the charts." Vexa, the engineer, gave a small grin. "Then let's see what secret the humans buried in the cold." The journey to Calyx Prime took several days. The planet floated like a frozen pearl, wrapped in clouds of blue ice. When they landed, the temperature outside was so low that even the ship's hull creaked. Raal, Taryn, Kor, and Vexa stepped out into a white wasteland. The wind screamed across the plains, but beneath the snow, Taryn's scanner showed energy readings so strong that it almost overloaded. "There's something massive below us," she said. "Deep underground." The crew followed the readings to a mountain range. There, half buried under ice, stood a huge metallic door, far larger than the one they had found on the last planet. Kor brushed away the frost. Human letters appeared on the surface. He read them aloud. "The Archive of Hope." They entered through a narrow tunnel, their lights cutting through darkness that hadn't been disturbed in 1,000 years. Then the tunnel opened into a gigantic underground chamber, a city made of crystal and steel. Thousands of glowing spheres floated in the air like frozen stars. Each one pulsed gently, casting soft light across the walls. Taryn gasped. "There must be millions of them." Kor whispered, "Each sphere. It's a memory." The crew walked among the lights. As they moved, the spheres activated, showing holographic visions of humans across time, children laughing in alien schools, soldiers helping refugees escape war, doctors treating non-human patients, engineers building ships with alien crews. Every image told the same story, a story of kindness, courage, and sacrifice. Then a voice filled the chamber, calm, human, and filled with warmth. "If you are here, then you are ready to understand." The crew froze. The voice came from everywhere at once. "We are humanity, the first explorers, the dreamers of light. We saw the universe and we knew it was greater than us. We learned, we fought, we fell, but we never stopped believing in others." The spheres glowed brighter, forming a huge hologram of a human figure standing before them. Not real, but more alive than a ghost. "The gifts we left behind were never meant to give you power. They were meant to remind you what it means to be alive, to care, to build, to hope." Taryn's eyes filled with tears. "They knew they were going to vanish," she whispered. The hologram turned toward her. "We knew our time would end. The enemy we faced could not destroy what we believed in, only our bodies. So we placed our essence in the light itself. Across the stars we became memory, waiting for those who would find us." Raal's voice was quiet. "You mean the humans became part of the light?" "Yes," the voice said. "We became the signal that never dies. And now those who carry the light must awaken what remains." The chamber began to shake. The spheres rose higher, spinning faster until the room glowed like a small sun. Taryn shouted, "Energy surge, massive! It's forming a network across the galaxy." Kor grabbed his scanner. "All the gifts are activating." Raal looked up as the holographic figure smiled. "You have found the truth. The light connects us all. The final gift waits where it all began," and with that the voice faded. The spheres dimmed until only one remained glowing in front of them. On its surface, new coordinates appeared. The original home of humanity. Earth, Vexor whispered. They want us to go home. Captain Raal nodded slowly. Set a course. As the Seeker's light rose into the stormy sky, the chamber below went dark. But far across the galaxy, the stars themselves began to flicker one by one, forming lines of light that connected every world humans had ever touched. The awakening had begun. The Seeker's light jumped out of hyperspace near a familiar world. Green and blue swirled beneath the clouds. Mountains, oceans, forests, untouched, silent, waiting. Captain Raal gazed at the planet through the viewport. This is Earth. Taryn leaned closer, voice trembling. The humans started here. Their first home, Kor's eyes shone. And it's the last place they want us to see. Vexor remained quiet, staring at the stars. It feels alive. The ship descended through the atmosphere. Every instrument on board began to react. Energy readings from underground were off the charts. Not machines, but something much bigger, much older. They landed near a vast valley. The ice and frost of the poles were gone here, replaced by green fields and rivers. But at the center of the valley stood a massive structure, a pyramid-like monument glowing softly. Taryn gasped. The final gift. The crew approached the entrance. The glow grew brighter as they neared, pulsing in rhythm with some unseen heartbeat. Inside, the chamber was enormous. The walls shimmered with energy, showing images of humans across the galaxy. Every planet they touched, every act of kindness, every lesson they shared. And above all of it, a single point of white light hovered, bright, steady, alive. A human voice spoke, warm and everywhere at once. We are humanity. We never left. We became the light that carries hope, courage, and life across the stars. The crew felt it. The energy of thousands of worlds, billions of humans all joined together in one final gift. Vexor whispered, they didn't vanish. They became something more. Yes, the voice continued. We gave everything we could, not to rule, not to fight, but to guide. Those who find our light must carry it forward. Teach, protect, and inspire. You are the guardians now. Suddenly the light expanded. Streams of energy shot into the sky, reaching into orbit, then into space, connecting all the planets where humans once lived. The gifts across the galaxy awoke. Holographic lights, towers, and devices from every human world shone at once, like stars forming a web of hope. Raal's voice was quiet, almost reverent. They left more than gifts. They left themselves. Their spirit. Kor's eyes glimmered with tears. Every world touched by humans, alive again. Taryn reached out toward the glowing point. It's like they are telling us. The story never ends. We continue it. The room shimmered as the energy spread further. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations looked up at the sky and saw constellations forming shapes. Hands, bridges, glowing threads connecting star to star. Vexor whispered, the humans are everywhere. Guiding everyone, even now. Remember, the voice echoed across space, the light is not just ours. It is yours too. Care for it, protect it, let it grow. As the light faded back to a gentle glow, the crew looked at one another. They were changed, not just by what they had discovered, but by the responsibility now resting on their shoulders. Raal turned to the crew. We found the truth. Humanity's gift is not a machine, not a memory. It's the light we carry inside ourselves. Kor nodded. And now it's our turn to spread it. Outside, Earth glowed softly beneath the setting sun. The valley pulsed gently, like a heart beating across the galaxy. The Seeker's light lifted off, leaving the planet below. Across space, the gifts on other worlds flickered back to life. Towers, spheres, devices, all connected by the invisible thread of humanity's spirit. The galaxy was no longer silent. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if smiling. And in the midst of the cosmos, one thought echoed through every planet, every star. Every living being. Humans did not vanish. They became the light that never dies. The crew watched in awe, hearts filled with hope and wonder. They knew their mission had changed. They were no longer just explorers. They were guardians, the keepers of the light. And somewhere across the infinite expanse of space, humanity's legacy continued to shine, eternal, guiding, and inspiring every being who looked up at the stars. The end